Hi, good morning, Corey here. Just getting ready to start my day. It is crazy windy out, and I know throughout parts of the U.S. there's hurricanes happening, or hurricanes getting ready to hit land. Some in those areas, or has hit land, depending on where you are. And as I'm watching the wind through where I'm living, I get this sense of how wind annoys me, how it pisses me off. And so when I'm listening the last 2 days to the wind and finding myself in a place of being angry, frustrated, I find myself looking at life in a way from being, you know what, F this bullshit. Like, I'm so done. I'm so tired of adult images acting out the childhood insecurities of fear, or the fact that you just didn't get what you wanted, that life hasn't gone the way that you want it to go, or that how you thought things should be, and that life has thrown us curveballs. Well, fate, it happens. The design of the big plan happens. Sometimes there's a lot of things for us to learn as human beings in times of struggles and difficulties, and that in life we don't always get what we want, and we don't get things to go how we want them to go. I'm really sitting with my book, which I don't have in my hand, because I still don't even have a copy of my new book that just came out, which, I could be like, I don't have a freaking copy of my new book. I could have got very angry and frustrated during the process of the book and the unfolding, and having to edit so much of my own voice out that you actually don't really have a freedom of speech. Just let me tell you that. And so also the fact that the book More Than Existing was written from the essence that the grown adult of me couldn't keep having moments of sadness, disappointment, tantrums, as I seen even people that were that would get angry at me, and I would say, how dare you be angry at me? I'm such a good person, and da 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 da. Yeah, well, you know what? Sometimes we're not such a good person. Sometimes we are doing something to unintentionally, not even intentional. We're complaining, we're talking, we're gossiping. And a part of my book was written a lot about my relationship with my mother, the umbilical cord connections, what I call it in my teachings when I teach my programs. And that whole, everything that I wanted her to be, everything that I expected her to be as a mother, everything that, you're conditioned to believe that we should be, and how a relationship should go, and everything that went wrong in my life, oh, it's all our fault. Yeah, no, it's not. And so, when you sit back and you revisit story, when you stop and pause long enough and you listen, and you get past your frustrations, you stop being like that crazy ass wind that's trying to kind of blow everything through, and allow the crazy ass wind to just blow away the things that are no longer serving you. And when you have to be honest with yourself and look real deep, was I really ever doing enough? Was I ever really that so-called good girl persona? Was I really that? What was my role? What did I play? And it's about taking ownership and responsibility. And I feel like we've been acting like, as a society in general, not pointing fingers, not picking anybody out, but as a society in general, we have been acting as if we're having a tantrum because things weren't going our way. So we've had adults acting like children. Well, what have we forgotten in that time? And that was a big part of the whole process of my healing, was that I lived my life like the forgotten child, like the like child number 2, the child number 2 story, and the forgotten child. And the truth and reality is that when you have everybody doing the best that they can with what they have, and they come in with the conditions of what they were conditioned to, then they truly are doing the best that they can do. And everybody is trying, and that's the thing, everybody is trying to do better. Why do we have to continue picking out faults? Why do we have to keep laying blame? Why did we lose our friendships and our family over, over that desire to be right? And why do we need to be so effing right? And when you truly start to pause and look around at life and you think, what am I fighting for? It's like taming the wild horse. It's like when you stop and you're like, when the anger is out, when you let all that frustration go, and you realize how much of your life you've been living actually afraid, living with that not enough and that search of I am. And when you get to the actual I am, when you get to the actual essence of everything that we're fighting for, everything we're fighting against, or even so much as, that sense of the God, we fight over who owns him, what it is, what he is, what she is, whatever. It's like, why the frig are we always fighting? Why? Do you know who's looking at us? The children. The children. And this whole book, the More Than Existing book, came years ago when I started to really look at the child. I really started to look at that child, and I really started to look at my daughter, and I really started to look at life, and I really started to explore something beyond what we see with those human eyes. And I seen how much, that whole essence of I'm the adult. It's my responsibility to behave differently. And it's my responsibility to behave in the adult energy, for me to be present, to think with the sense of, am I doing enough? What role did I play? What is my responsibility? Who's responsible for this adult that I am today? I am. And when we learn to pause in that, we can learn to gain clarity. And so in the beginning of the book, and I know most of you might be thinking, this girl might be crazy when she starts talking her mystical and her woo-woo. Yeah, well, it's not effing woo-woo. It is kind of, but it's like, but when you look beyond, when you go further and you sit long enough, you hear the whispers. We're so much more than what you see in front of you. And it was the essence of the presence of Mother Teresa coming. What about the children? Do you see why I was so angry? All of these adults who were so-called adults in the world, when we forget about the children. And she asked me to not forget about the children. And then I realized I was one of those children. We're all one of those children. We can't forget about the children, but most of all, children are watching. Most of all, we are forgetting that children are out there suffering and struggling in this world. So when she asked me to take a good look, she asked me that eventually, what would I do back in return for all that she would help me with? Part of my book is written out of my decision to please the insecurities of even myself as an adult, and to make a choice that left me burying myself in misery for a lot of years. And it's all in the book, where I was left without a child who should have been, in my eyes, for a lot of years. Obviously, it was also, this plan could unwind the way that it has, but to help the children. Do you know how many children are out there that are struggling? Do you know how many children that are out there that are watching us behave this way? Do you know how much of our conditioned fears, behaviors we are instilling into children? Or how much when we try to dress them up for perfection and to make them look a certain way, to look presentable for the world, or that you've tried to fix your childhood problems through your childhood through your own children. Do you know what we create? Insecurities and fears. Do you know when we don't look deep enough and we ignore the fact that we have orphanages on top of orphanages on top of orphanages that are sitting with children? When we have tons of communities that do not have food and water for those children, when we have children that are being left in the streets, when we have children that are being taken into human trafficking, isn't it time we look a little deeper? Isn't it time that we look beyond our own insecurities? Look at what we do have. As we destroy each other, as we fight with each other, as we act like children, think bigger, grow up, act like the adults that we are. And my book, along with the books that are to follow, are all about truly, truly now growing up. It is time for us as a society, as the adults, to grow up. It's time for us to act like we are the adults. It's time for us to put our focus in where the real problems are. If we change, we allow this to unfold. If we go through the process and we take our focus and we don't put it so much in the insecurities of us as these grown adults, but we put it in the focus of the children. And we live as good adults and we do the right thing. We be good human beings and we start trying to save these children. Why would anyone ever think that we should turn a blind eye to a child bride? Why? Why is that okay? Because we only put our focus where we want to see. Through the eyes of my so-called enemy is the places I have had to look and to really explore. The places that we light up are the places that take us to our deepest insecurity. Are we doing enough? Are you more than existing? My hope, my prayer, with my book, with my programs, with my own personal life and my own personal journey, is that I can do enough, that I can be enough. Out there, I know I'm enough. Confidence, courage. Are we courageous enough to take ourselves out of the picture, out of the equation, not need all the attention, not be needing to nurture that insecurities that we've had, and to move forward and say, let's look at the children. Let's finally get real. Let's start showing the children all of the beauty and the awe, not to raise them in fear, but to show them all this beautiful life, to teach them with love as we transmute this energy of anger and fear, and we transmute it into love. Let's be a love so that these children are not afraid, that are safe, that are secure, and that we all put our focus into teaching them about open your eyes to the world, to the children that are in need out there, those so-called beautiful diamonds we put on, and they come from child labor. Do you ever look at some of those things? How deep are you willing to go? And not all diamonds, don't get me wrong, but we see what we want to see, we hear what we want to hear, and we believe what we want to believe. Maybe it's time to listen to all sides. Maybe it's time to go a little bit deeper. I made a choice when I chose to be done, that I would search joy and happiness, that I would understand words, that I would get behind words. I would stop listening to the words that were coming out of people's mouths, and I would really start to listen to what's not being said. Let's put our focus where it needs to go, and let's live a life of more than existing. Much, much love. Have a wonderful day. And please start looking at the children. Bye-bye.